Talk a little bit about what's going on with Diego, maybe how it started.
Okay, so Diego was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and I met Daisy and Diego when he was 5, and this was at the YMCA for Healthy Kids Day. So Daisy had come over and she explained to me what Diego was diagnosed with, and so what we do at that fair is we just check spines. We check hips, we check shoulders, we see if there's any kind of a curvature going on. So when I checked Diego, I saw that his hips were off. I also saw that his one knee was much more enlarged, which is really definitely coming from the rheumatoid arthritis. And what we know about joints, our joints need motion. So if a joint doesn't move properly, the cartilage in the joint doesn't get its nutrition. So with rheumatoid arthritis, that's an autoimmune disease that starts, for some reason, your immune system starts to attack. The antibodies will attack the cartilage. So as that attacks the cartilage, it starts to break down the joint, decreases motion. So as a chiropractor, we just want to keep motion in those joints and get those joints aligned as well as we possibly can to allow motion, which is called imbibition of the joint. That imbibition, that motion allows the fluid in the joint to give nutrition to the cartilage. Without motion, it can't get rid of the toxins and it can't bring in the nutrition into that cartilage area. So when we saw Diego, I saw that I could help him because he had misalignments. His knee wasn't moving like it should. So when he came into the office, we took some x-rays. Now, that's when he was 5 years old. And just to share with you, I don't know how many people know Diego from way back when, but he's A-plus personality. He would bring so much positive energy into our office. It was just a great experience. I love seeing him when he would come in. He would ask me how I'm doing and how was my day, and this was natural. So it was wonderful. I enjoyed our visits, and I saw that we could help him, so it was just a great time. Here's actually a picture of Diego that we did take. We have held this on for many, many years because it was just a great experience that we had with him. So Diego, what have you been able to, I know that you do a lot of dancing, you did at such a young age, you continue to dance, you also act. So talk a little bit about how normal your life, actually it's a little exceptional, but your life was like.
Yeah, I had a good childhood. I did have problems with my knee and foot for a little bit, but when I did dance and stuff, I didn't really pay attention to that. It didn't really hurt, and I loved it. I went outside or with my bike. I climbed trees. I even went to a farm school, and I milked cows and did stuff like that.
Awesome. Because when he was first diagnosed by the doctors, they had said how this was going to affect him as he aged and how it would create curvature of his spine and how over time it could really start to distort his structure. So we can see that he's done very well. So I adjusted him for many, many years, for about 6 years off and on. You know, it was what we call maintenance, where he comes in periodically, just make sure everything's moving. Initially, we adjusted him a lot just to restore motion. But then there was a few years where, you know, he's doing well, life got busy, so we hadn't seen him. And then Daisy brought him in, and we saw she was concerned because she could see his shoulders were really becoming unlevel, his hips were unlevel, and part of his muscles on the left of his upper back, I can show you here, was so much more developed on the one side than the other. So I don't know how well you can see that in the lighting, but here's the muscle here coming down. That's really a normal size muscle, but this one is so overdeveloped. And if you turn a little bit sideways, you can see the thickness of this muscle. If you turn this way, you can see this is just a regularly formed muscle. So you can also see it with his spine that there's curvature coming up. Now we have an x-ray over here where we can really see how it's affecting his spinal column. So when he first came in, the first x-ray we took since he had been back, this was back in 2016 in June. And if you see here, you can see that his spine, let me just enlarge this. You can see, here's his spine coming up, and then all of a sudden he goes left, and then his neck goes over to the right. So we started working on him because what I had found was these areas were not moving properly. So we were adjusting, getting motion back into that area. We also looked at his hips because what we know is there's no way that this area can be straight if this is off, because your body will compensate. So if the foundation's off, the rest of your body has to compensate. So when we saw how unlevel his hips had become, and he had grown, and we know with rheumatoid arthritis that can affect bone growth. So we actually took x-rays to measure his leg length, which is a very precise way, where it's actually an x-ray across the hips, the knees, and the ankles with a metric stick behind, so we know to the millimeter his leg length. And we found that there was a 16 millimeter difference between his left and his right leg, where his left leg was shorter. So we were able, there's a technique where you go to a shoe repair place, and what they will end up doing is they will just make that difference in the bottom of his shoe. So that was helpful to help level up his hips, because there's nothing you can do with leg length. You're not going to put bone into it if you don't have to. So now we were still concerned with this. So we adjusted him for many visits just to get motion back in there. But what I found, that muscle was so tight and it wasn't changing at all. So we also took another x-ray because we were getting more concerned because he looked like he was getting worse. And you can see that in this x-ray when you compare. So you can see that it goes off a little bit to the right. Now he's getting pulled even further to the left, and then he's compensating back to the right. And we saw his muscle, and that's what that is doing. So adjustments alone cannot take care of this problem. It's only going to continue to get worse. You can keep motion in here, but if that muscle if you can't release that muscle to get it back where it belongs and have those muscles become balanced, there's no other way than wearing a brace. So Daisy had gone to a specialist with scoliosis, and there are braces that you can use now that are flexible, but it pulls the spine back where it belongs. But because of these flexible braces, you're still able to get proper motion within these joints, so it doesn't limit that to cause more damage. So chiropractically, as far as adjustments, we haven't really been doing many because it's not going to help, but the brace is really what's going to make the difference for Diego to help not only prevent it from getting worse, but also start to bring this back into neutral. So as he continues to grow, he has a better chance of growing straight and not having all these other issues.
There's got to be more than going back and forth, from doing right to doing wrong, because we were taught that's who we are. Come on, get it.
Well, you're being very brave. You let me shoot you myself. First shot was a painful wound. Then I'll beat you to death with a rock.
No, Seshpe, you're too kind. But no.
We do this every day.
And like the hero takes the stage when we're on the edge of our seat, saying it's
Oh, dude, it's raining cats and dogs out there.
What did you say?
It's raining cats and dogs.
I love animals!